All right, next up we have an original piece that's going to be performed by Cameron John Dieter, and it's titled Sausage Fest. Enjoy.
I like the middle name, makes you feel more regal. Wow, there are a lot of you guys here. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So, I grew up surrounded by penises, and not in the fun way. In my house, I lived with 3 boys, 5, 7, and 35 years older than me. And naturally, there's a lot of genitalia that gets exposed. If you come up to my house, if you're a guest to my house after like 9 o'clock, you will generally see my dad a little bit too drunk, wearing a bathrobe a little bit too short, leaning a little bit too far back in his recliner, exposing his junk there, just kind of like a dead possum on the road. Beautiful. My brothers have this similar kind of exhibitionist side. They like to play this game where they pull their penis out through their fly and sort of start kind of right there, and then if you look at it, they punch you in the arm and call you gay. They still do that to this day. So my mom, bless her heart, I mean, all she could, we're gonna switch things up a little bit. My mom, bless her heart, all she could do is sort of look there and just shake her head and, well, not look there, shake her head. And I mean, I was growing up in this environment and, you know, looking around, I was not impressed. My dad, I think he's the quintessential man who's given up. He's the Eeyore of the family. And I mean, he's all about turning the other cheek and sort of, you know, resisting conflict. And this is particularly evident in his commitment of the cardinal sin of manhood, according to my brothers. He sits down to pee. And this is, you may not think this is a big deal, but this has been a huge source of conflict in my house over the past few years. We have given him so much shit about it, for no apparent reason. I mean, he likes to cite, you know, it's more accurate, solves problems, but as far as we're concerned, that's basically turning to the enemy right there. But beyond his idea to sit down to pee, he's also, and this is another thing my brothers and I have a lot of fun about, a chronic masturbator. My brothers and I have bonded quite a bit over the times that we've, you know, walked in and seen my dad watching porn on the home computer, or he's left the door open a little bit too wide in the bathroom. It's just, I mean, of course you can blame his drinking for his lack of sneakiness, but at the same time, no child should have to walk in on their dad rubbing one out at 1 a.m. when they're coming back from the Now, I ignored this for most of my life. I mean, it was whatever. Until my mother, bless her heart, made the tactful error of buying my dad a Kindle for Christmas. Now, normally, right, you would associate Kindles with books. Not Tim Dieter. It's not how he rolls. You know, I didn't have the memory at this point, but at one point, you know, I was going through I was checking my email on his Kindle, bad call. Self-viewing history. It's never good to know exactly what your dad's into. Like, that's just not a good experience to have. That's really discomforting. And even then, I was like, all right, well, we're going to let that be that. But then, one night of the winter break, I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up to what sounded like someone enjoying a really good bowl of lasagna. And then I realized it was not a bowl of lasagna. I creeped my head over, opened one eye, and there I saw my dad laying flat on his stomach on the ground, hands on his chin, looking at his Kindle, just enjoying the show, enjoying this weird blowjob video he was watching, which was really discomforting. And so then I was like, well, we gotta do something about this. So I was like, sort of like, you know, as if I was waking up, no response. I was worried that he thought it was part of the video. So naturally, I decided to go with a little bit something more aggressive, like, still nothing. So I was like, well, this is decision time. Either I sort of lay there and enjoy it, aka watching porn with my dad, which is just really not acceptable. That's a little bit too comfortable for me. Or I stand up, you know, and make like a tumbleweed and roll out. So I decided to stand up, make direct eye contact with my father, say, hey, Dad, and walk out. He never even moved. Now, my oldest brother, Eric, doesn't masturbate as much, but he moved out when I was about 14, for which I have been eternally thankful for. Eric is more the model of man who uses his masculinity to enable him to be disgusting at all times. He likes to fart really loudly and then breathe in like And then say in a Scottish accent, "That was nice." That's kind of how he rolls. He liked to rub his masculinity in toward to me because, according to him, I was the one in the house who was, quote, not a man. The other person in the house who wasn't a man, my mother, took offense to this and also ended up being his downfall because she would not tolerate his need to urinate in bottles instead of go to the bathroom. That was a little bit much for her. So she wouldn't play that game. He was a little bit upset by that. Like a real man, he never backed down in argument or took criticism. Like a real man, he never showered or brushed his teeth. And like a real man, he liked to rub his balls everywhere. I think my favorite moment of this was when I was in 5th grade, going through a necklace phase because I was that kid. Thank you. And he had found the necklace that I was particularly fond of. It was green Mardi Gras beads with a golf ball attached to it. And so he was like, "I'm gonna shove this up my butt." And so we tried to. Didn't work out. So he settled for just rubbing it around his balls. And then he gave it to me and said, "Well, now you know what a real man tastes like." I don't know what that means. And that ended my necklace phase pretty quickly. He never ended up graduating high school, missing by 1 credit, health. Not even kidding. And he is currently working in the kitchen at a fast food place. So he fits right in. Now, my younger brother, Kurt, he's not quite as disgusting, but I think he and I have a lot of differences too, in that he's the guy who always needs to feel like more of a man than you. When we were growing up, he solved every problem with, "Well, I bet I can beat you up." He was 5 years old than me. It was accurate, but nonetheless. I think the most exciting day of his life that I remember, I must have been probably like 6 or 7 at this time, was the day he found his first pubic hair. He came out of the shower yelling, "I got one! I got one!" and was showing everyone in the house that he had one. And of course my brother Eric was like, "Well, I have 40. And me being me, I was like, "Well, I've got like 100. Not really knowing what was going on. One thing led to another, and I ended up pulling hairs from my tape and scotch taping them to my face. Not a good story. Never lived that one down. Now, as my brother got older and he started working out and he got bigger, he was still very masculine. He's the guy who measures himself against the world in 2 ways: penis size and bench press. He really is that type. He's also very proud of his sexual conquests. His favorite thing to say to me until my senior year of high school was, "Virgin, you don't know anything." May or may not have been accurate, but still. And now, all my friends know Kurt as the rapper brother, which is true. MC Kurt Tizzle did bust many a sick rhyme. His videos are on YouTube. It's worth watching. But, like 40% of his lyrics were about his penis. He was too masculine to, acknowledge his downsides. He was also too masculine to try hard in school. He ended up graduating high school by a hair, maybe even that first one. And he currently works in a sausage kitchen, where his official title is Wiener Slinger. And he gets to make penis jokes all day. So he's pretty happy. I think I realized pretty quickly on that I didn't want to be like any of these men. I didn't want to be, I wanted to be aware and in control of my sexuality. I wanted to be clean and not disgusting. I wanted to be more than just a man. I didn't want to define myself just by that. And I think as I grew up and as I learned, that was okay. Not all men poop in the urinal and pee in the sink and call each other gay. There's a lot of different kinds of men out there. Men can be smart, men can be clean, men can be well-dressed, men can be funny, men can be emotional, men can be non-emotional. There's all kinds of men. And, this sounds cheesy, but I can be whatever man I want to be. The only thing... Thank you. The only thing that makes me a man in any sense is the fact that I'm a male-identifying person, and my experiences And that's the only thing all men have in common is being male identifying and their experiences being male identifying in the world. And loving dick jokes, because we all love dick jokes. Thank you.